the previous video we did set up everything to make sure that we are able to run our React Native application on our Android emulator. Now in this one we are going to create some couple of files over here, because now we have to make use of everything that we installed earlier, like the router and also the native base, and also we can implement how we can use our loading screen and our authentication screen. Now I'm going to create two files called I'm going to create a folder, not files for now, called scenes. Now in the scenes, it's supposed to be here, move it, so I'm close that. In the scenes we are going to create two files called loading scene .js and also auth scene, authentication scene, but I'm just going to use auth. Now I'm going to use the RCC command to bring that out. Let this come down here and export it. Now we have to get rid of this div. We are not dealing with the web. We're going to import the view and the text. I have to import it from React Native. Then over here we can now type down view and text of let me just put auth scene. Now I'm going to copy exactly this, save it, and come over here. I think I have to do this manually. I think it will be better so that I don't have any error issues. Let me import this first. Then this is the loading screen, loading scene, not screen, sorry. So I will save that and I will export it, export default loading scene, and that solves it. Now our application is not reloading automatically. The way we can do that is to come to your Android emulator, click on it, hit Ctrl M and enable live reload. Whenever we save, automatically is going to reload for us. So in the source folder we are going to create an app.js file. So I can now copy this because the name is not too long. Paste it, name this to app. Same thing over here, name it to app. Change it to app scene. Then come over here. I don't want an error, so let me do it from here. So when I save that, it's going to get rid of the other app. So as you can see, now we are on the app scene that we configured over here. Now we are going to start by bringing in our React Native router flux to set up some routes. I'm going to bring in imports from React Native router flux. Now in our React Native router flux we need the router and also we need the scene for each scene, and we are going to bring in our components. Let me comment this with components for routes. I'm going to import, we have the loading scene. We have to import it from the scenes over loading scene, and lastly we have to import the authentication scene. Then we have to get rid of this and we have to bring in our router. In the router we have to define each scene, give it a key, let me close this so that we can avoid errors. You have to give it a key. The key is going to be the URL name, just like the way you visit home/page, home/about, home/contact. So we are going to give this one a key of loading, and we are going to specify the components. So we have the loading components, and lastly we have to also do the second one, which is the auth, and the component for it is auth scene. Now when we save our application, we always want the loading scene to come first. So the way we can do that is to come down here and just set this to initial. So that's why you can see the error there. So when we save this and refresh it again, we are not supposed to see any error again. Say the error is located on line 14 that says, okay, we don't have a root scene. That's why we are having an error. We are going to just define a scene over here. It will not actually have a component. So we are just going to pass a parameter of key to root. Okay, let me save that first and refresh. Now as you can see, we have the loading scene being the first thing that we specified as initial true. So the loading scene over here is what is actually showing. Now we want to remove the nav bar for the loading scene. The way we can do that is at the scene itself we have to say hide nav bar. These are the parameters that this comes with, so we have to set it to true. Now as you can see, our nav bar is out. And now let's start with designing some couple of things. We also have to hide the nav bar for this. Let's set it to true also. So let's head over to the loading scene, and in the loading scene we have to start designing. Remember, from our UI is where we are designing from. So our loading scene has a background of this color code, and it also has this. I'm going to show you how we are going to make use of this. It's very simple, not very bad. So I'm going to export this, export it to, let me change this to our project directory. Go to this, let's create a new folder called images, seed into the image and export this. So we have that exported. Come over to our folder in the images, and I have to drag this over here, move it to our source folder. Then I have to rename this to logo. So I'm going to do this in two ways. If it doesn't work, then we use the other way around. The other way around I'm thinking is, let's export it individually. So I have to ungroup this. Let me group this together. Then can export it. Yes. Okay. Android, React Native, UI designs, UI1 source, image folder. Select this, export it. Then we can use the text to do this. So I'm just going to leave that for now. So I have to get rid of this again. Rename this to logo.png. Then close it. Now I have to create a style. So before I do that, I have to bring a style sheet above. One more thing I need is the animated. Because of the animated feature, you see it bounce, so I have to bring in the animated, and that's it for now. Then styles is going to be style sheet dot create. We have to give it a container, then give it a background color of what we just copied. So I have pigments, so that's why my color is showing. Over here I have to give the styles to style.container, and in the style we have to make this flex of 1 so that it's going to take up the whole width. Put it at the top. Now let's save to see, and as you can see, we have our background has been changed, and everything is looking so good and so smooth at this first stage. Now let's go over to the middle part of it, where we brought in our logo and also our text. So in the text, I'm going to add a style over there. So I'm going to give it a style attribute to styles dot logo text. Now for the logo text, we have a color of, let's check the color. This is the color. Let me copy this. I'm not sure it's the color. Okay, the color is white. Font size, let's check the font size. 25 with quicksand. I didn't download quicksand, but we are going to make use of the Google Sans I downloaded earlier. So I'm going to kind of do this first. Fonts family of Google Sans bold. Then we have to give the font size of 30. We have to give it a margin top because it's going to stick together with the logo, which we don't want. So let me give it a 29.1. And lastly, we have to give the font weight of bold. So for bold, we have to give it 700. I think. Let me make sure that is correct. Okay, let's kind of save this to see whether we are going to experience an error. Now we didn't experience any error. I think I have to reduce the font size to let me reduce this to 300. It's too much. So for the loading scene, our text is ready. So let me just change this to logo text. Now all the animations we saw earlier was because we used animated, but before we do that, let me bring in the image. So import logo from, let's go back one folder, go to images and bring in logo.png. Then we can come down over here and make use of it. So let's come down here, and I'm going to bring in first the image I forgot. Add a source to our logo. So let me save that. And now, as you can see, everything is done, but this looks awkward. Now, for us to make sure that our animations, everything is set properly, we have to align everything to the center. I'm going to come down here So down here we just gonna have to justify content to center, and lastly we have to align every item to center. So let's refresh to check. Now everything is on the center now, both our logo text and also our logo itself. For all the animations we saw earlier, before we can do that, we have to bring in animated, which we have done. Then we have to come over to above our render. We have to create some state, because we will be making use of the state over here to animate both the logo and also the logo text. I'm going to come here, I'm going to set the state to an object of first of all we have the logo anim. You have to call the animated. From the value 0 is going to start, and secondly we have to add the logo text. It's going to start with a value of 0, and lastly is the spinner we saw earlier. I'm going to also do for that, so I have to say loading spinner. We have to set it to false. Now what we have to do is to make use of this with the component did mount feature. So we have to bring in the component did mount lifecycle hook. Over there, once ever the component mounts, we have to do a parallel animation straight down or straight up, depending on how you set yours. It's going to accept an array of double animations. We have for the logo anim and also the text anim. The one that will come first is the logo anim. Once it's done, then it's going to bring up the logo text. Once the logo text is done, it's going to bring up the loading spinner. Now over here we have to use the animated .spring. Now the animated .spring is going to go to our digital state and take from our state. I think I have to remove this over here. I can actually use the structuring. Can actually use the structuring to do that. We have the logo anim. Have the logo text. So the first one is the logo anim. Now for the logo anim, we are going to a value of 1. We want it to bounce, something like we need to let's say we want it to have some tension. So I'm going to specify a tension over here. Lastly, I'm going to specify also a friction, because we want it to shake as if it's very fast. Then the duration, just 1000 seconds. That is 1 second. Then starts, we want it to start immediately. And lastly, we are going to be using animated or timing. For this one is the logo text. We have to specify the object accepts to value 1. We have to specify the duration, because we don't want this one to bounce, we just want it to come up immediately. Moreover, we have to start the animations. Now inside this start is going to, it can return a callback function, but I've not really tried whether it can return a parameter, but it's going to return a callback function. Now the callback function, you can use it to do anything you want to do. Let's say once the animation is done, we want you to do this or do that. Maybe allow the user that the animation is done, but for us we want to now change the loading spinner to true, so that our loading spinner can actually show. Then over here we can bring in our loading spinner. We have to use the this.set state loading spinner. You have to set it to true, and for now that's it. I made a mistake over here. This is true. So the way we can use this is to head down over our view. Now beneath this container we have to target the one for the logo. I'm going to bring in animated.view. Now in the animated.view we put the image over there. So if I save this, nothing is going to actually show for the logo. Now it's not going to show. I don't know why it showed. Yes, it's not supposed to show because that's because I've not applied this style. So over here we can say the style is exactly this for the opacity. We have to use the state is double, but we have to use the logo anim. So let me save that again. Actually it's actually showing. I don't know why. First it's not supposed to show. Okay, that's because I already did the configuration over here. Let me comment this out to show you what I meant. So it's not supposed to show immediately. It's supposed to wait before you do anything. It's supposed to read the values from our animated for the state of logo anim. Now I'm going to still allow that. So over here, as you can see, we immediately show our logo, but there is a little bit transition, which I don't want it to be that way. I don't want it to be like that. Exactly, I don't want it to be like that, but I don't know why it is. Let me kind of check the mistake I'm doing now. Actually, there's no mistake I'm doing. It's just that I have not yet added the interpolate feature. The interpolate feature is a feature that it comes from a value and goes to a value. Let's say it transforms and translates from a value to the final value. So I want it to come from the top. Now from the top we're still going to target the logo anim. Then we have to use the interpolate feature from that. Now the interpolate feature accepts an object, the input range, and also the output range. Now for the input range we start from 0 to 1. That is from this 0 you see over here, as it goes to 1, the one we set over here, we want it to come from 80 to point of 0. So let's kind of check that. Now as you can see, it's bouncing and everything is working smoothly. Why you see it bouncing is because of all this tension, friction that we added over here. That's why it has a little bit of friction. So you might be wondering where I got this from. This is basically from React Native documentation. So let me show you React Native documentation. So over there, just search for animated. Now under animated, you can go to interpolate. The interpolate should be around here. Interpolation. So it's exported to use interpolation type flow. So this is exactly what I'm doing here. There is nothing much. You just learn how to use the interpolate. Let me kind of search that. Interpolate. Let's go to the methods. So it's not actually showing, but just take your time to look around. Since I'm not explaining much about that, take your time to look around. You will now have to find a way you can do all those things. Now this is again, it just bounces immediately. The second one is to focus on the text. Now we have to come over there, animated.view. Now in the animated view, we just over here we have to set the style, change the opacity. Remember, it's coming from this state the logo text, and so for the logo text, it's not going to bounce. Actually, it's just going to come from being, let's say, from being invisible to being visible. So I don't know why it's not showing the opacity. Let's go up and check. So it's coming from 0 to value 1. We use the logo text. Okay, I think it's from the seconds. Yes, we use 12 seconds, but it's supposed to be 1.2 seconds. So that is it for the loading screen. The next one we are going to talk lastly is the authentication screen. We wanted that after this finishes, it's going to trigger a spinner icon for us. Then we can now go from there to our authentication screen. So thank you for watching. Also make sure you subscribe to my channel. Even if it's a one like, I would really appreciate. So thank you for that.